I think we're back. Hey guys, we should also have advertising back. I should now be a YouTube partner again. If anyone sees an ad, let me know. It's kind of cool. For me rather than for you guys. We've got one person watching. Not sure how exciting this is going to be. I've been sick. I've been off with COVID for the week. Very unimpressed about that because I've had nothing done at all. Very little. I think I'm here. Am I? Doing some bizarre things. Do we have any voice? Probably not. It's a bit slack. No microphone. Can anyone hear me? Not organised. See, I haven't done this for a week. I got disorganised. Let's have a look here. Put that up and see what we get. Probably not. Audio is good, Mark says. Thanks, Mark. Well, I've had COVID for a week. I haven't really achieved very much. To be honest, I've done quite a lot of little scale model that I've been building. More about that next time, but to give you some idea. This little Foden truck cab. Don't know how well you can see that. It's green and cream. Red guards. Hey, John. And doors that open because I've got nothing else to do with my life. I hate myself. So that's sort of paint settling for a little while. And it might get a coat of clear on it at some point, and then some accessories. Still got to put the grill in it. But that's sort of more for tomorrow night anyway. So as far as onshape goes, I've done very little. I've actually uploaded all these files in a very disorganized fashion. Hey, John. To a platform called Cults 3D, which is a sales platform for 3D files or for 3D printing files. It's quite a good platform. They have some good stuff. Anyway, the 181 files, 185 I think we're up to by now, I've uploaded to there, and you can pay some money and download them and use them if you like, and I'm happy to give you some idea of where it all actually goes together. There'll be some instructions and things come at some point, and I've been messing a bit with them, but It's a lot of files and a lot of parts, like a serious amount of parts. And I had to do something because it's sort of getting to the point that my file management system on my computer was getting a bit clogged up. So I've pulled them all apart and renamed them and got rid of some duplicates and worked out which ones work and which ones don't, and uploaded them all, just basic upload, so you can download them one at a time. Probably they're all going to go in folders with separate parts and then with instructions for each part, which I'll make up in a drawing on onshape. So sort of an exploded view. I was thinking tonight that might be something we could have a look at. I was going to have a look at some drawings. That's probably a bridge too far because there's a lot of cross-referencing and things and renaming and putting parts in bill of materials lists and things. So it's sort of a sit down with a notebook job, I think. But anyway, we'll see how we go with that. We missed a week, but last week we had a look at this. Or the week before last, I think. It's probably this file that we actually had a look at. We're up to 7, poor sods. Which is basically a paper shot glass on a foam coaster. Not a particularly complicated job. Looking at that, we could probably unwrap that into a paper pattern to cut one out. That's something that can be done without too many problems. If we quickly make up a new one, this is a very simple part. Copy that sketch and we put it in a new base. If we bug it over here, paste the sketch in, do it straight off there. And we might just transform that sketch. By XYZ. There's several ways we can transform a sketch or to move it from one point to another. It's not going to work like that. We need to open this sketch and then transform it. A bit rusty now. It's been a week since I used this. If we open that and edit it, that sketch, then use the transform key, which is here under the pattern key. Then we can select the whole lot and move it around. That's straightforward. We're going to put this center line on the center line here, so you see where it snaps into the center there. Here. And then this one here, we're going to snap it up to the center and it'll do the same thing there. Right click that and it moves it into place. If we click that and revolve, it's going to revolve the whole thing, which is not really what we want. What we'd like is two separate pieces. So it's this piece and this piece. In this sketch, I'm going to change that. Right click that and edit it, and we'll just put a little line in here between those 2 points. Now we've got some errors here. One of those is a problem, and I think let's fix that. We need to spend a little bit of time talking to fix errors. But if we have a look at the shot glass, and there's always one kicking around. This has actually got, if we have a look at it, for purposes of the whole thing, it's got a bent piece here. What it's got, it's a piece of paper here. It does that. We can just drag that over the top there, and we can use the scissors or the M. Just trim these. And that's changed that to, we can revolve this round. We can just revolve this separate part around. There's a new part. The revolve axis will be that line. And we've got a piece of paper that's folded up, something like that. And we can revolve the other piece around. On the same axis. For some reason it's not working. So if we hold that over there, we'll create a self-intersecting part, apparently. And yet this works fine. If we turn this on off, There we go. Peter's got bad lag. Wonder who else is in the chat. We've got 7 people, 6 people there, something like that. I think our interference point's here. We have a look at this sketch and modify it. Give this a little bit of a gap. Now let's see if that'll revolve. There we go. So that was obviously the problem. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I saw it there a minute ago, but yeah. So that should be fairly obvious that we've got 2 parts there now. If we go over, if we make a sheet metal model, I believe that there's new features here that should make this into a flat projected. Parts and surfaces to convert. It doesn't like that very much. Press N for normal, bring that round nice and square. And if we draw this across here like this, that basically turns us into 3 parts. So we've got 1 part there, which is the ring around the top. And then if we revolve again, that one didn't work, so I'm going to delete that. And we're just to clean things up, if we revolve this again around that axis, that gives us 3 parts. Might be how we make that. I believe that these are made by rolling the edge down after they're actually manufactured. If we roll this out, they're probably put on a cone and then something goes over it and rolls the edge down. I don't think it's a particularly complicated process. But if we make a sheet metal model, it calls it a sheet metal model, but any sort of, this is cardboard, I guess, if we're going to make it from tin. Parts and surfaces to converts, that one. And faces to exclude, I don't think there is one. Edges and cylinders to bend. It's 0.8 millimeters thick. This is a sheet metal model, can't be built. Certainly can make one of this bottom piece. Edges to bend is probably that one there. Let's close these off here so we can only. Gosh, I'm a bit slack with this. And probably I should have gone and had a look at this before, and I do apologise for that. But let's make a drawing. We'll start with this one that we had here, which is a nice one. Like I said, this is amateur hour. Now, if we right-click on that, there's a menu here. And this feature here that says create a drawing of shot glass. We've got all different formats. We've got ISO, which is metric, or we've got ANSI, the American National Standard Institute, in inch. We've got different sizes. We've got A4, we can print A3, in B and AO, all those sort of things. We can click ISO here and we have A2 or A3 or A4. We can do landscape or we can do portrait. We can set it up with 4 views or no views if we want to start from scratch. If we set it up from 4 views, click OK. It opens a new tab for us automatically. So it's really as simple as that. A basic drawing. We'll wait for it to load. But what have we got? We've got a side and a front view and a top view. Or maybe a bottom view, this view. And isometric view. You can move these around. This one's probably a bit irrelevant because it's exactly the same as this being round. We've got this view and this view. This doesn't give us a lot of information. I think this is probably basically a section view. Not a big deal to do it. There's a few options here. So we can just click that and put a section view in there and it'll create a section view. And that gives us a cutaway. See you, John. Another thing you can do, another way to make this a little bit easier to interpret, is this broken out section. And we can create basically a spline profile around here. And that basically breaks that. Out and gives us some sort of an idea of what it's like, but it's not right on center, so it's not a real good interpretation of that. Control Z undoes that. We can insert any other view we want. So basically, we've got a drop down menu there, and we can use that part. We can pick whichever view we want. If we want to put the isometric one back in, we can do that. Probably we want, we can put a regular break in there if we want a break view, 10mm break view. We want to go horizontal. Because something that's a bit extra long and you want to shorten it up, well, you can do it that way. Yes. You can do an align section view. So if you want to pull a section out of it somewhere else, we can chop the side off this view if you only want to show half of it. We can do dot points or ordinate dimensions, so you can put a dimension in that's from there. And there. And there. But that's not particularly useful on there. It's not a particularly useful dimension there at all. But all sorts of dimensions. We can put in a table, we can put a cut table, and put a bill of materials table. And that brings us up a table here. If you want to put some sub-assembles in there, so if we want to have a look here for current document, will automatically put in a bill of, basically a bill of materials. We can put in a part number, we can put in a description, and we can number these if we like. We can put basically a balloon. And so forth. There's only one part in this, but it gives us call out here, so we can put item number 2. And that's sort of as basic as that, making making drawings. Not a lot to it. We can fill out all this information with its title and who drew it and version number, surface finish, metal material, all that stuff. But drawings are not that complicated. And you can have a fairly nice drawing. I mean, these are easy just to move around. And you'll find if you move this up here, that this will move back to align with it. If you move this down, this one will move to align with it too, so everything works. And if we want to put a dimension in here, we can change by clicking on this. We can change the good theory. We can basically, there we go. We can change all this to where it needs to be. Of our tolerances and our dimensions. We want to set it up in inches. It's 1.4 inches. Does that automatically. If we want to show or hide the units, if you want to put 1.4 inches, we can use a diameter symbol. All those sort of things. When we click off it, that's 1.4 inches. It's got a line under it because it's not exactly 1.4 inches. That measurement is just something we guessed. It's not to scale, basically, that dimension. So drawings are quite nice and fairly simple to do anything with. If we right click on the blank down on this pop up here, basically we can export it, or we can move it to another document. We can select that as the thumbnail for the document if we like. We can do that with any of these and make that. Then when we go back to our main menu, what we've got is the drawing as the thumbnail. There and there. So whether that's a useful thing or not, I'm not sure. The other thing I was going to show you guys, we had a look at this box. I don't know if you can read that, can you? Maybe. Can you read that? Probably, almost. Pick and hook set. This box isn't quite exactly how I'd like it, but it's not terrible. Run out of grey filament, so the top's yellow, and I've put some writing on it. But this is our basic box. I've squashed this down, and we had a look at that. We open that file, we'll have a look. And this is quite a good box, but the plastic insert fits in there nicely. I think you can see that. It's got a good strong hinge and good strong catches. The hinges are basically just clipped together. You've got little detents that clip together. So that's printed, ready to go. No good hold it that way around. That way around so you can actually see it away from the light. So something useful we made right from scratch in this live stream. I really like that. It's a nice, fairly nice little tool. It wouldn't be a big deal at some point when this plastic insert from the bubble wrap actually falls apart, to make a new insert to go in there. This one's just a nice neat fit in there, so it sits there quite well. But for now, this closes, and it's close enough that they don't all bang around or move around in there. So we can close it, turn it upside down, give it a good shake. And they're all still in the right spot. So our clearances and everything are pretty good, I think. And these just clip together like this, like that. That's a nice secure box. The problem I have is that it doesn't sit flat on the bench when it's closed, because the latches we didn't modify and they hang down a little bit. Not a big deal to fix it, perhaps, but I have to have a think about that. The best way to do that, because they have got cutouts and spring-loaded features, which are part of the actual piece that's hanging down. So if we cut this much off there, like so, we end up with a catch in 3 pieces rather than in 1 piece. And that's not particularly useful. But I'm sure it could be fixed quite simply. And it's still got to maintain the integrity here in the end. So, still thinking about that. I might do it at some point, because it's not a very big print to reprint these. And they've just got hollows here. Difficult to see in the black. If we change the look of this, add appearance latch from black to grey, there we go. Now you can see that these actually have domes on each end, and they lock in concave faces on the box. It's a little bit easier to see. So that's another job that got done at some point. It's this awesome box, this really nice kit. It's pretty solid. I think you can nearly stand on that, to be honest. Maybe not, but it is pretty strong. And it's nicely finished. Nice job. So, real world applications. I feel like we should probably make something. So start from scratch. When you log in, basically you get this window. There won't be all these files in here. Some of them are quite complicated. They won't all be here. There's things I'm working on, things we've done here in live stream, stuff that may never see the light of day again. Some things that were quite complicated to get right. Some things I spent quite a lot of time on before giving up on many years ago. There's some things I'd like to go back and revisit one day. I was thinking about this Hopkins engine. I'm feeling like I'd like to get back and actually make some miniature engines again rather than messing around with steamrollers. But if anyone wants to buy a steamroller, I'm over it. I'm sick of it. We opened this one. Hasn't been updated to the latest version of the feature library. We could update that. It'll probably kick us out for a minute. Where was it? Here we go. This was a little engine that's in a patent book I've got from many years ago. It's Hopkins non-compression engine or atmospheric gas engine or external combustion engine. It's something I messed with a little bit, printed some parts for a mock-up. It's about as far as I got with that. Was conrod clearances and things. But this is a fun little flame eater engine, inverted flame eater engine that would make a very nice project. I have probably no one has a greater understanding that I have more projects than I can ever finish. So this may not ever happen, to be honest. But it is a fun little engine, and I think it would very nicely translate into a working model. Maybe one day when I retire, when I've got nothing else to do, or when I sell a steamroller or something like that. But the Hopkins engine was a job that I sort of spent a lot of time on. If we section view that, it's got a internal piston with a front skirt, which basically gives you your valve timing there. What you can't see is that the other valve, if I have a look there, you can see that exhaust being opened as the piston comes up and down on the back there. and intake timings here on this port. And the explosion picks that up. So, fun little engine. Well, we got sidetracked. Let's go back here. I have too many projects like that, and I don't know when any of them will get finished, and I really feel a bit bad about that because there are a couple of model engines I'd very much like to get in and finish before the designers actually drop off the end. It might not happen next week, and it might not happen in 2 years' time, but I'd like to get them finished. Let's start a new document. We click Create from this anyone who's a ranked newbie here, we'll go through click Create from our main menu screen and Document. It's really quite as simple as that. We can call our document what we like. I'm going to call it today's date, which is the 1st of the 7th, 25. We can create a public document, and that'll take us automatically to the first screen, the first part studio. The reason it does that, I think, is it can't take you to the assembly because there's nothing to actually assemble because you haven't actually started anything. So we've got a workspace here with 3 planes. This is right and front and top. We've got a little cube here in the corner that we can actually, I'm going to go over this again, right plane up where it needs to be. If we click N for normal or normal view on that, when that one sort of, that'll bring that up to the next closest or to the sketch that we're working on. You can drag on this and move it around, or you can just right click and drag on there. Across the page, you'll move it around. We can select there for normalize view. If you don't like these planes, you can click P and disappear them. Put them back. There's still an origin point there. It's up here in our feature list with a little eye. If we click the eye off, we can get rid of that. Might be useful to have it there. So what do we want to draw? Really good question. Not sure there's anything I want to draw, to be honest. We click a sketch, our first sketch on our right plane, which is basically on the plane that looks, I'm in the dark here, it's on the plane that looks in from the right, that way. I believe, actually no it's not, it's the plane that you look at when you look to the right of the drawing. So it's the plane you look into at the left, I believe. Yep. No, I'm wrong. There's the front plane there, and the plane is akin to at the right. So to select the sketch plane to draw on, we can either click this plane, or we can click this up here, where it says right, like so. And that automatically puts in the right plane here. It shows us that when we hover over that, that shows us that that's the plane in yellow that we're actually going to write on or draw on. If we click N, that brings that round to normal. Middle scroll wheel zooms that in and out. Right scroll button will turn that around, and left scroll button or left mouse button will select on the screen. So if we've got that there and press N for normal. We don't need all these here probably. Don't suggest you turn them off because it's very difficult to get disorientated with this. Especially if you leave your mouse on the trackboard on the laptop, or you leave your hand on the trackball on the laptop, and then the mouse doesn't unclick. But we can turn them off if we click P. So procrastination is a wonderful thing, and that's what we've sort of been doing here for the last 5 minutes. I guess you noticed that. What do we got? Looking around for ideas. Something small. Some fancy geometry there. I'm not feeling like that's something I really want to draw. And probably if I wanted to draw a copy of this little boron bar, I'd probably just go and find one in the public files. That seems to be as good a place as any. Let's have a bit of a look. There's quite a lot of tools here on the bench. In the cupboard here and see what's here. Not very much. There was an X-Acto knife here, but I can't see that either. Something a little bit less complicated than just a... Something a little bit more complicated perhaps than just a simple revolve. Someone's actually clicked on that. Someone sent me a message. It's probably someone saying, oh. Anyway, that's how you open a new document. Sketching's as simple as drawing something out. What else can we talk about tonight? Probably not very much. We're up for nearly an hour, and starting something else seems a little bit superfluous. And I've really only played catch up. We haven't actually done anything new, and I apologise for that. But I filled in an hour of someone's time, which isn't all that exciting. And I should have been in the workshop and found something that was suitable to be drawn. And I wasn't. There is something here. If we're going to handle it. We'll start this sketch again. There's another little mouse trick. I'm guessing you all know that. If you select this one way, that way, it'll only from left to right. If you select from left to right, it'll only select the points that it covers completely. If you select from right to left, it'll also select the points that it covers partially. So if you want to select those 3 lines, select them that way. If you want to just select this line here, you select it this way. It gives you a different result. You select that way, it gives just our 2 lines. We want to select this one. That'll give us 3 lines without that one. See? Whereas if we select it this way like this, that'll give us our 3 lines without that one. Or we can just click on it. Now, got a wall DeWalt one. It's a big one. It's a 100 amp one. 100 watt one. It says it's 100 watt. I have no reason to believe that it's not. It seems to be pretty good. Because it will charge a DeWalt battery. Pretty simple thing. We draw that up quick. Work out where we're at with it. Most of our features are this way round, so looking through it, probably better off to draw this and extrude this than to draw this side and extrude another sketch on the side of it. So having a look at how it all works. It's got a USB-C in the back. It's got an Australian standard plug in the front. It's not a very complicated thing. It's actually a case in, so the case is probably put together in 3 parts. But there doesn't seem to be any real, like, pattern draft or anything, or part draft on any parts, like you might have seen back in the 70s. It's all nice and square. So if we draw that up with a center point rectangle, something that looks about what it should. And we'll call it 28 millimeters. Now you don't have to put that sketch in first. If you move the mouse from where this is to where that is, it'll let you put this sketch in first. I reckon it's 90 millimeters. I'm guessing this. It's probably 90 millimeters square. If I extrude that, from the center line, 90 mil. And it seems to have a cutout here. I don't know if you can actually see that. But there is a cutout or a separate piece on here, which is about, we're going to go 13 mil, back in 30 mil and say 45 mil down halfway. Not a particularly complicated thing, but if we put a sketch on the same plane, wrong one. Let's select a center point rectangle. No, still same. Corner point rectangle. Now this gives us a dimension here. We can move this over here and change this one first. We think this one needs to be 45. And we think that this one down here needs to be probably 13. Right? We extrude that. Because that's on the center line, we've done that on the front plane, it's actually on the center line. We call that 28 mil. Right. And we use a symmetrical ticket. That'll give us it'll balance at each side of the centre line. New part. Like so. Now what we need to do is take this part here away from this part. And the easy way to do that is to use a Boolean for each function. We subtract. We want to take this one from this one, and we want to keep the tools. Click the OK button. You've got two separate parts. If we remove this one, it looks like that. And this has got a split down the centre here. Hey, Kevin. Around the centre. So we easily split that. It's here, it's a split function. And we click on parts we want to split. And the entity we want to split with is the front. That gives us 3 parts, basically. There we go. Now, this is round. Looking at that. How our round's a standard plug. We could look this up, or we could actually measure it. I reckon it's 38 mil. 38 mil is probably pretty close. If we put a sketch on the end here, or we can put a sketch straight on the plane, just to make it easy. And I'd say we're 20 mil down from the centre because there's about a millimetre gap there, and we're 19 mil. So that's 45. Let's put a construction line in here. Press the Q for construction line, or we can click on the construction line. And 45 to there. So 45 less 19 is 26. We've got a construction line. We can draw a circle on there. And it gives us a diameter of 38 mil. There we go. And I reckon it's maybe 8 millimeters long, but that has got, interestingly, it has got a taper on it. Let's extrude that. Go the other way, so press that to click the other way. And we'll add that to this piece. It's struggling a bit to do that. Why is that so? There we go. Merge with part 1. And we only want 8 millimeters. Like so. Now there's some draft on that. It's not very much. We select basically the direction of the draft, so it's got a taper that way. That looks pretty good to me. Click OK. We've got that part. Now, it's a little bit interesting here because it's got some interesting chamfers on it. I reckon there's an unequal chamfer around the edge. Let's 2mm by 1mm. And this part's quite easy to chamfer. Two distances, 2mm. I've already got this set up for two distances. 1mm. See what this ends up with. Let's reverse these. There we go. Don't believe we can do the extra strain on there. It's going to let us. So that gives us basically the shape. Now, this comes back 2mm past the edge here. It's a very easy thing to sort of change. Now we've thought about it. This last extrude, which is that one, if we click on that and edit it, right, and we click a second end position, I reckon it's 2mm. And we click and make that a new part for now. See how that actually fits together. Now this same chamfer we need to put round the same fillet we need to put round here. It's a chamfer, isn't it? It's a chamfer, the chamfer we want to put round there. And of course it goes back to the default 5x5. Wrong way around, so we'll reverse the direction of that. And this one. And this one. And this one. Now if we have a look at this, we've missed a side off here. So we go back to this fillet. If we enabled it, we'd be able to find it quite easily, but we can't. This is this first chamfer. Hit that. And we'll put this one on. There we go. Now you notice this chamfer only pops up after we change this one because we've gone back in our feature list and edited something before we did that. So those parts don't exist while we're editing that. It's a feature that happened afterwards. You can drag them around so they change direction or order. But basically the best thing now is to do the same with this. You can set this up in your menu as a default if it's a chamfer that you use all the time. You can set this up in your default so that it always comes back to there. I think I've got mine set to just a standard square 5x5, and that sorts that out and that out. There's a radius on this top end. I think it'll put that in for us. It will. I think it's about 2 millimeters. A fillet. And same on there and there. And the same on here. Might as well do them all. It's struggling a bit with that. I think we can only do one there. So next thing is I think the next thing is to join these two parts together. Now we've got them all set up where we want them and in the right spot. We don't want to join part 1, we want to join that part there. And we don't want to join part 4. We want to join that part there. We don't want to keep the tools this time because we only need one of them. If we click that, it gives us all the right geometry there for that part. I'm pretty happy with that. So we could put these chamfers on here, I think. Or fillet on here. I'm going to get those mixed up all day. Probably 2 millimeter fillet. Like so, and the same on here. Another fillet. We could click Shift F if we wanted to use a shortcut. There we go. Next thing is that there's 2 little air gaps or fillet or strength fillets, or I don't know if you can see that, or space savers, or not sure why they've got them there. But there's 2 little pieces that are cut out in there. On this surface here. Not a complicated thing to draw in. If we draw right onto that surface, and we draw a construction line, press Q, right through there like that. And probably the best way to do this is to draw a line here like this without trying not to attach to anything. And we put in a measurement here. So we want this section to be about, call it 26 mil wide. That looks pretty good. Now that trick there I've done is to give us a diameter or an overall width across there. And you do that by, I was going to mirror that, and it's probably the quick and easy way, but if we do it again, just to show you, I think we've covered this before. If we go to click dimension, right, and we click on that, then we click on the center line, as long as it's a construction line, and move out here, that'll give us that measurement rather than just give us a measurement across the centre. So we know that these are pretty much exactly the same. And then just a circle is probably the best. We can find the centre of that if we go to there, and then that will automatically give us a centre point there. Now this was 38. I'm going to call it 35. And we're going to get the scissors, or M. Cut that out, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. Cut that one out, that one out, that one, that one, that one. And it gives us our two little pockets. If we click extrude, it's extruded them outwards. We want to remove them, which automatically should put them in backwards. And I think they want to go in about 6 millimeters, something like that. And you end up with a shape that looks something like that. Now, looking at this, I reckon there's probably a little bit of draft on them. So we can go back and we can modify that. And make sure that we've got this the right way around. It shows us a little bit of draft there. So what's next? A couple of prongs. Got no idea how to make this, and I'm not going to make it so that you can actually pop this into a PowerPoint if you printed it out, because that'd be silly. Got a sketch on here, I guess. In fact, I might not do it that way. I might do it straight onto the right plane, which is the center line of the part. Up through there. It's not actually, the center line's right through there. It's right at that point there. So our center line was actually at the edge here. That's where we worked it out. If we press Q for a construction line and find the center of that, and it should just clip straight on the center. Press escape, it won't actually come up with a measurement. And the same there. So we've got constructions there, construction lines out from the center. Now, a really good question with this, I'm not sure. What we can do is an aligned rectangle for the pins. Something like that, just for a start. And what are they? No idea. Let's go with 6.5 mil. I'm guessing there's some sort of standard by about 1.6. That sounds like it probably something that could be. And we put a dimension on here because I reckon if we measure this one and this one, it'll give us an angular dimension. And I reckon they're about 60 degrees. So 180 less 60 is 130, is that right? Not even close. There's some interesting geometry. What we could do is delete that one and change our measurement from there to there. Click on both of them. And that gives us that, which is 30 degrees. There we go. That looks more like it. Now, because we've anchored on the center here, we can actually change this measurement from here to here and make that I reckon it's 8 millimeters. I can look this up. Here we go. I think they're up a little bit. So it's probably a very simple thing to change, but we're not going to right now. Let's extrude that. Something like that. The new part. And mirror that part. Introduce the mirror. We'll call a mirror plane in the center. It wants to add it into the actual part, so we're going to change that to new part. There we go. That looks like it might plug in. It's not quite exactly right, but it's very simple information to find on a chart somewhere. Their color. Let's edit the appearance for the part, and we'll click that part as well. So we're changing the appearance of both of them, and they want to be that color. Probably, I don't know if they do. Let's go with pale green. So there we go. If we take off this first side, or this piece here, And the second side, this is not hollow, so we can turn that into a shell just for the fun of it. Remove the faces. If we put part 2 back in place, we can do the same. Now let's disappear that part because there we go. And the same thing, a shell. Faces to hollow. There's our 2 parts of that. We could change the appearance there. Edit appearance to part 1. And part 2, we're going to click that as well. We're not going to go black because it's too hard to read or see. Let's go for that colour. Is it just a little bit off black? Put part 1 back in. We're at part 2 and part 3 for a second. Here. Going to struggle with it because some complicated geometry in there. There's more than one way to do that. But anyway, we've achieved our aim. And there we go. Hey, James. Haven't got a DeWalt logo on it. Probably a very simple thing to put a DeWalt logo on it if you wanted to. Let's have a look here. There we go. It's down here, right here in the corner is a little plus sign. And we have an import sticker. If we click that, it's going to come up with a pop-up screen. You can't see that, but I'm just going to find it in my files and open it. And down here we've had an image appear, which is basically a DeWalt logo, basically, not much to it. What we want to do, use here somewhere. I was thinking about that. There's a command called decor. If we look at that, and we can select an image. Basically, it gives us a list of images in the current documents if you want something that you were else previously. And that comes up. And put that on that face. A bit far. We can just type in the measurement. That's a typo. It's got a black background. It's got a white background. That's not particularly helpful. Wasn't a vector image at all. Fairly simple job to trim that. Like realistically, it's not a difficult job to trim that if we wanted to do it. We could probably do that for you. Of course, everything's AI now, which is a bit of a pain in the feel better without Microsoft Designer and Microsoft Companion and all those sort of things, helping you do these things with a little bit more dumb value. But that's what we got. And it's still really good skill to actually have an actual like editing program that you can use. There we go. Let's import it again. Import the file. We've got a pop-up screen. It's just a basic Windows screen. Did it actually import? Don't know about that. See how it goes. We've got a corrupted file, that's why. So much for AI and all that stuff to change it. Let's have another go. Complete waste of time, but let's have another go. This was pirated off off Pinterest India. Which is actually a thing, apparently. There we go. Let's save that. Let's try again. There it is. Let's tell them it's uploading here. It's uploaded successfully. We can delete that or suppress it or whatever. We can just suppress it in case we don't like the other one. Delete it. And there it is. It is there. On this one, which is Transformers on Decal. The drop down menu to find the document. We select the face. And vertical shift. Not quite in the center there, so we're going to with there we go, that looks good. And that's that. So there we go. Not a complicated thing. Got a basic shell ready for electrics. It needs some clips. I don't know how to even get this one apart. I think you would void your warranty if you on a quite an expensive bit of gear if you did take it apart. You could scan this sticker and put that on as well, or you could find a copy of it. You could try and scan this writing here and put on it if you wanted to make it look really nice. There's all sorts of things you could do to make that nice. One thing we haven't got is the USB in the back of it, so we may as well make it really usable. If someone wanted to, they could print that out and see if it fits in a PowerPoint, but I probably wouldn't, to be honest. Anyway, that's what we've done. It's a fun little project. It's pretty straightforward, and hopefully some of it might have stuck. I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, hope it's helpful. I've had fun. It's been a good back up to speed thing. I'm going to call this. Thanks, guys. We're getting way too late. Nearly 2 hours. I might see some of you tomorrow night when my workshop live stream. Tomorrow I've got to work again, which is a bit harsh. But appreciate you tuning in, people. There's 9 people, which is kind of awesome. Drop me a line or say hello in the comments if you're sitting here and you've got questions or you're interested in stuff. Hopefully we've been of some help. But that's it. I'm out, I think. Catch you on the flip side, guy.